So, it's your boy Jims TV here, and I want to talk about my top 6 favorite albums of all time, favorite albums ever, or just six of my top favorite albums from a certain era. So, those albums are Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, DMX's Dark and Hell is Hot, Tupac, Me Against the World, Scarface, Last of a Dying Breed, Biggie, Life After Death, and that last one, give me a second. I'm going to let y'all know what it is. Appreciate this. So, here we go. So, let's get into it. It Was Written by Nas. It is the follow-up to Illmatic. Illmatic classic album, right? But most people, a lot of people that I've heard didn't really like the second Nas album. It's not many, but it's just a few. Like, it was just like, eh. But to me, dope album. Really, really dope album. To me, one of the dopest follow-ups that you could possibly have for a sophomore album. I'll tell you why. So going into the mafioso thing, you know, he has a relationship with Wu-Tang Clan, right? And by him having a relationship with Wu-Tang Clan, you know, great artists kind of feed off each other, especially when they have chemistry and they're around each other enough. So, like, that whole thing in that era was big on, even with Jay coming in with his first album, we'll get to that later, coming in with, you know, the mafioso thing with the Reasonable Doubt, you know, that was just a part of that era. So, Nas just jumps over into it and was like, you know, the first single I believe was If I Ruled the World. Now I was a young lad when this joint came out. So and that was featuring Lauryn Hill. Crazy single. And I remember, like, if I ruled the world, I love him, baby. When that came through and it hit, and you know, he's just breaking certain things down. It's like, God damn. And then, you know, Street Dreams was the second. But that album had production from, like, just everybody. It was the first time you heard The Firm. It was, you know, the first real time that you kind of seen Nas outside of what he was doing on Illmatic. And the craziest part about this, you know, this album is that just back to back to back. Like, I used to, like, hit play and just let it ride the whole album. Like, the intro, and then after the intro comes on, Street Dreams come on, and you're like, God damn, how much better can this album get? And then once you get I Gave You Power, like, that is a powerful record. And it just displayed his ability, of storytelling. You know, cock back, bust off when they unlock me. The results of what happened, and niggas shocked me. Like, those type of bars on I Gave You Power was nuts. And that's the thing that made me, you know, one of the things that made these albums are albums that shaped me and made me want to, you know, be an artist. Like, I mean, I already had, you know, certain emotions and things I was dealing with. Told me to write my feelings down. So that's a part of that. So, like, I started writing my feelings down, and then it turned into something else. But it was because of the things that I was listening to and I was exposed to, and the things that I was hearing. So in my household, you had, you know, multiple generations of music at this time. So it's like, it's not just my music. It's not just stuff that I'm into, because I can only listen to certain things. But it's what my brother's playing, what my sister's playing, what my dad's playing. Like, what anybody was around me was playing. And I was exposed to different types of music all the time. So, you know, when I would hear a sample on one of these albums, I would go nuts. So just back to the Nas joint, and, like, that's the first time you heard The Firm, and, like, the song Affirmative Action. And then this is after Dr. Dre left Death Row, so he's producing for other artists outside of Death Row, and now you get to hear those different type of collabs. And Nas was one of the first guys out here on the East Coast to rap over a Dre beat. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Dr. Dre even had The Firm, and, you know, it was them for MCs, including Foxy Brown, but, it had production by Dr. Dre when they did the Firm album. And this was the start of that. So, like, this is a great album. And, like, he has Mobb Deep all over this joint. Like, it's so many different records, but I used to hit play on this album, and I wouldn't stop, and I would play. And it just had a lot of replay value for me. And I don't, I believe it's a classic. But, that album and a lot of albums gets overshadowed by other albums when the artist is that is as great as this artist is, as Nas is. What happens is, some albums get overlooked because of how great the previous was, and later on in their career, it's not a lot of people's favorite albums. But I believe this would be the closest thing to having a second classic. If not, I think Nas has multiple classic albums in his discography. So I believe this is one of them. I don't care what nobody else thinks, but if Illmatic was a classic, to me, this is a classic too. And I love both albums almost evenly. Like, and to this day, like Stillmatic, I still bump that because that's a great album. But it's just a testament to a great artist, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pivot to the next album, man. So this next album, man, by Tupac, Me Against the World. Now, this is Tupac's, I believe, third album. Okay, we have Tupacalypse Now, Strictly for My Niggas. Okay, Me Against the World. This is Tupac's third album. Okay, and the first album, I don't believe it did as well as it should have. Especially having a single with Brenda's Got a Baby, but that's like a different part of his discography to me, because I think people sleep on certain albums that don't sound like what they want them to sound like. But this third album after Strictly for My Niggas. So Strictly for My Niggas had cuts like Keep Your Head Up, I Get Around, and What My Homies Call, like different type of records like that. And it just still felt like Pac wasn't getting as much love as people feel like he should have been getting. Now, I was born in 87. And I'll tell people this, like, in my household, my brother played rap, my sisters played rap and R&B, my pops played old school, from anything from the Temptations to Marvin Gaye, you name it. So, for me, when bro threw on Tupac, now I used to sneak and watch the videos. Come on, every kid did it. Especially when you started to love this thing called hip-hop. So, by me listening to, this, and I, brother played the album, I, sneak listen to it with him when he went home, I take CDs. If you see this YouTube video, you probably gonna start laughing. But, I would listen to, Me Against the World, like, after the other two albums came out. And this is around the time, I believe, after he got shot at Quad Studios. And so, with all the controversy that he was going through at the time, and some of the singles from the first two albums, you could tell that Pac was becoming a star, just not quite reaching the status that people feel like he should have reached. But I think this is one of Tupac's most slept on albums. To me, because it gets overshadowed by All Eyes on Me. So by it getting overshadowed by All Eyes on Me, because All Eyes on Me was All Eyes on Me, double disc, all the hits from Death Row, whatever beats they had, they gave everything Pac when he came home. Plus, Pac was on a mission. He was writing like he was crazy. It was something different. So I get what All Eyes on Me was. But Me Against the World opens with the intro, and and then it opens with these tracks, but you have songs like So Many Tears, Death Around the Corner, but like another album I just hit play on, play. And it would just play right through. And hearing it, and especially with something like Dead Mama, I think that just took his stock up another level by it being so emotional. And it's one of my favorite songs because that's a thing, that I struggle with. Like, I lost my mom young, so like hearing that song, at first it used to like bother me a bit. But then as time grew and I would listen to that album more and more and more, I was like, man, this song is just, this is my shit. It became one of my favorite Pac songs. believe it or not. And then that became my favorite Pac album because it had so much feeling. It felt like he was going through so much and fighting so much. Like the level of pain that he was in, and this, or you know, that he was displaying on this record was amazing. Like to be able to write it, and then with songs like the Temptation song. I think it was Temptation. I'm not sure what that song was called. They had a video and like everybody was in it. Trash, Salt and Pepper. I don't know. Most people might not remember that video, but I do. But it had a lot of people in that video, and it was just one of those albums where he just put it all out there. Like poetry, power, and pistols, plotting on murdering motherfuckers before they get you. And so when he opens up with that, it's like crazy as shit. And then down the track list you go, song by song by song by song. And he even had a song on there, if I'm not mistaken, that he had like a song, bigging up the OGs, paying homage, and things like that. But one of my favorite songs is Death Around the Corner. Gotta survive in the city where the skinny niggas die. And I remember Jay-Z using that in the lyric, and a lot of people say Jay-Z, do the whole biting thing, whatever like that. I don't really. Y'all gotta understand, there's a difference between biting, stealing lines, and paying homage. Like, when you can acknowledge that other MCs are just as good as you are, or maybe better than you, because let's be real, nobody had the emotional impact like Pac had as far as just relating to people and being able to connect on a relatable level, because he displayed each and every feeling. People gotta understand about human beings. We're human beings. We feel everything. So one day, like people's biggest misconception about gangsters are that gangsters don't fall in love. They tough all the time. That's not true. Like for every person that has a tough moment, you're upset, you're mad, you're gonna react in a certain way, especially when you feel like you're being threatened or approached. You have a gangster, a gangster persona. If just because you're in the streets don't mean that you too hard to be soft, and just because you're in love don't mean you too soft to be hard. People have different emotions daily. Sometimes your emotions change by the minute. So Pac was one of those people who displayed that, but he put it in his music as well. And that's what made him so great to me. That's what made Tupac great to me, period. But this is one of my favorite Tupac albums because he had, at the time growing up as a kid, and I felt upset and unloved. That was my favorite album because I felt like he felt. It's me against the world. Everybody got something to say. They don't like none of the things I'm doing. I can't do nothing right for nobody. So at that point, it's me against the world. Everything I do, y'all got a problem with. All right, so I'm really going to show my ass. That's kind of like the mentality, that it had. And it spoke to me because I was going through so many different emotions and things of that nature. So it impacted me. So these are not just 6 of my favorite albums, but 6 of the most impactful albums to me. So, we're going to move on to the next joint. All right, man. So right now, my last album, well, not my last one, but 3 of 6, because I have to split this video into 2 parts. So my last album of this part of the video is Scarface, Last of a Dying Breed. So this album came out year 2000, like, I don't know, November, October, something like that. And I forget what number it is, but I know The Diaries on my list is one of my most favorite Scarface albums. But this is one of those ones where, because it was right before The Fix. So this is one of those albums where it kind of gets overlooked. Now I know that may be a theme of this video, because like I said, with great artists who have multiple great bodies of work, one album tends to overshadow the other, especially if it comes before it or after it. It'll always be looked at. But to me, this is one of the dopest Scarface albums, because for this album opens up with like an intro track, like he's being born and shit. Like I get that thing because like That's a part of the story. That's the first part of the story, and then it ties in with the title of the album, and the album has a thing. So like he's born into the world, and that makes sense for the album title, Last of a Dying Breed. So then it's like it just opens up with this track, The Last of a Dying Breed, like the actual song, and like I think the song's like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. But then that song goes into another song where it's a song called Look Me in My Eyes. Now, Look Me in My Eyes is one of those songs where it's like he's explaining the psyche of himself or the way that he feels. So just look me in my eyes and tell me what you see. Like, and that's how it starts off, and it just kicks in. I was like, yo, what the fuck? Like I said, one of the greatest storytellers. I believe that Scarface is truly slept on. Like, a lot of these rappers from the 90s, they get slept on because it's just like being in the league with Jordan. It's like, yeah, Barkley dope, Pimpin' dope, but it's something about Mike. So when you look at Hov, you look at Tupac, you look at Nas, you look at all the, the big puns and, so on and so forth. You look at all these guys being out around the same time. So when you look at some of these guys and, it's like you don't want to say, oh, well, this person not big because of this person and this person is dead. But if it's so many great artists, some people have their favorites. And for me, like, I'm one of those people, I give everything a chance. And this is how I discovered a lot of music. Because I would hear something somebody else is playing and be like, yo, damn, that shit dope, man. Who that? Oh, that's such and such. Oh, I got the bump hammer. Yo, let me hold that CD. Back in them days, we had CDs. So, borrowing a CD. And this is one of the first albums. This wasn't even one of the ones my brother had, I don't think. I think I got this from somewhere else. But I bumped that shit, man. I bumped it, and I don't think I played it as much as I played a lot of the other albums that I listened to. I don't think I played it press play and stop, but I did listen through the album in its entirety. So like multiple times, and that's my thing. Like, he had joints on here with UGK, production by Mike Dean, No Joe, Mr. Lee. These are like people that he was like working with. And he even got tracks with J.O. Felony, the Doug Pound. Like, it's just crazy to see, like, man, this nigga was lit. He still is to me. Like, I listen to Emeritus, I listen to Deeply Rooted, I listen to damn near every Scarface album. I listen to Made. I loved Made. Like, that was one of those albums I hit play on and just let it rock. Even with this, like, most of the time I did play this and let it rock. But, like, maybe it'd be like when I'm in the mood to hear this album, but not everything. So I would have my favorite tracks. Like, again, my favorite tracks, Last of a Dying Breed, Look Me in My Eyes, the joint behind Down With Us. Yeah, they down with us. Like, the shit with UGK, like, they were three of my favorites. And I just tell people, like, yo, Scarface, that dude, if you don't know. Like, when I look at somebody like Big Crit, and I look at the J. Cole's of the world and stuff like that, I automatically think of Scarface at times. So yeah, man. So stay tuned for part 2 of this video. I'm probably gonna drop it tomorrow if I don't drop it tomorrow. But I'm probably gonna record the whole thing tonight. I know I'm long-winded with this shit, but I love hip hop, man. And man, stay tuned. Jims K. Jims TV. We out, man.